After the fall of the Ultor Corporation at the hands of the Earth Defense Force and the Red Faction, the surviving scientists fled deep into the Martian caves and into the ruins of the mining complex. Fearing for their lives, the survivors cut off any and all contact with the outside world. But their research continued. For decades, they went unnoticed, as the colonists rebuilt and repopulated the region. They scavenged together what they could to survive, and stripped away all evidence of their true identities. They became savage. They became feared. They became marauders. Over time, new generations of marauders were born, and the disguise born out of necessity was imprinted into the new generations, as a culture and way of life, instead of just a facade to mask themselves from the EDF and Red Faction. Decades on the fringes of Martian civilization, persecuted by the EDF, and distrusted by the greater Mars population, turned them into a bitter and bloodthirsty group. They would often attack the forces of both the Earth Defense Force, the Red Faction, and the civilians of Mars, in a rage against the Outlanders. As a result of their Ultor heritage, the Marauders came to be in possession of the Nanoforge, an Ultor device passed down from their predecessors. The Nanoforge was believed to be the work of Axel Kapek, the head Ultor scientist on Mars during the First Martian Revolution. Whether it was just a remnant of his research, or a key breakthrough was unclear, but the Marauders protected it with their lives. The Marauders were known for their use of barbaric bladed weapons, which included hunting knives, axes, and swords. They were frequently seen driving deadly, custom-made vehicles, that were a terrifying sight to the colonists on Mars. The Marauders would use these vehicles to raid outposts that were close to the Badands, for food and supplies, often murdering the colonists, who were unable to flee during the raids. Conflict between the Marauders and the EDF forces had been raging on for many years, long before the leader of the Marauders, Vasha, was captured by the EDF, but their intention to publicly execute her sparked a major change in the conflict. Vasha's sister, Samanya, attempted to rescue her, springing an EDF trap. The trap was unsuccessful, however, and the Marauders retaliated, killing the EDF commander of the Marina Valley. This was followed by an all-out assault on the EDF HQ, which held command over all the forces in the valley. Samanya left the Marauders after the assault on the EDF HQ, and joined forces with two ex-prisoners, Hugo Davies and Daniel Mason. After rescuing them from an EDF internment camp, the three were able to resurrect the Red Faction, and began an insurgency against the EDF, with operations commencing within the following months. The Marauders and Red Faction later formed a shaky alliance, during the Battle of Eos, where they triumphed over the EDF, pushing them out of the sector, and destroying the EDF Central Command. In the following Battle of Mount Vogel, they, together with the Red Faction, killed General Bertram Roth, and used the Nanoforge, combined with an EDF RM-8 missile, to destroy the EDF Hydra. Vasha, the leader of the Marauders, was killed during the battle, whilst she defended the missile accelerator. After the end of the war, the Marauders announced peace amongst the colonists, and the two societies lived in harmony, and helped each other rebuild from the ruins that were left behind by the EDF. Despite how far they had come, and how much they'd achieved, the Marauders would never forget their true identities, and who their true masters were.